subdivision that's going in fairly close to here. So I think they're just trying to keep up.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good to see you. It's 3 o'clock. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm Dave. I'm going to call the roll of committee members in attendance. Dave Cahill, are you here?
Here.
Deborah Doyle.
I am here.
It looks like you're disguised, or your name is disguised, but I do see you.
Oh.
Yeah. Barbara
Isn't it?
McKenzie.
I'm here under Deborah's. It says Lisa Davidson on my screen.
Yeah,
Wow.
mine too. Not sure.
How
why.
interesting.
Yeah, but we know who you are. So it's
All
great, great to see you all, and glad you can join today. And welcome to members of staff, whether you have your cameras on or not. I do see Myrna. Great to see you. And let's go ahead and, hey, Craig, thanks for joining. Always glad to have you. I see Erica's joining, and Ray, happy that you're here. And I see that Fred, thanks for auditing silently and without your camera. Appreciate that. Okay. So announcements. Pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, all votes during this teleconference meeting shall be taken by roll call. And next is public appearances. Any members of the public who wish to address the committee regarding items not on the agenda. I don't see anybody here. Lisa, do we have any public comments that were received by email?
There were no comments received by email.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to suggest we move right into our discussion items. And the first is item 4.1, our fiscal year 2022-23 calendar. Myrna, I'm going to invite you to take us through this, if you would, please.
Sure. Lisa, can you show the calendar, please? So in attempt to just look forward into what is ahead for the commission and the accounting team, and also there are other staff members across the library and in management that contribute to our work in accounting. Just wanted, I think it's good to know what lays ahead in terms of work, and there's some things that we can, adjust for dates. Others are pretty much, scheduled, outside of our control by the county, for example. So what we already have, so I wanted to put this out here for you so that you could see what work we are planning. And this is not all of it. These are just items that are major projects that involve the commission and and certainly the finance committee. So so you know what will be coming to you, but of course, oops. My computer, my camera just went out. I think you can still see me, right?
We can see you,
Yes.
yeah, and we can hear you. And Lisa has the calendar up on the
Yeah, I
View
could see
board.
that, but no, I don't know how to manage this, but I could see that, and I have it here in front of me. So as you already know, we are working on the financial audit for fiscal year 21-22. It's planned to come to the finance committee at your next meeting in December on the 19th. And then if there are no major items, and if there are questions that can be resolved before the commission, the plan is to have the audit before the commission for adoption. And so all the work has been submitted to the Presenti and Brinker at this time. And they're just asking follow-up questions, but all the prep work has been that the library and the accounting services have done have already been submitted. With that, like last year, we presented a mid-year review to the Finance Committee and the Commission to look at how well we're doing toward our budget targets in terms of revenues and expenditures, and if there are any adjustments that are necessary. So by the end of the calendar year, we will I'll be working with division managers to go over their current year expenditures and plans for this year of how well they will meet their targets.
Excuse me, Myrna. I don't know if you can see, Dave has a hand up. Can we pause for a second to take a
Yes,
question?
I'm sorry. I'll need your help because
Sure.
my screen just went blank.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Dave?
I'm in the dark.
Yes. I'm so glad to see that our audits are back on track and that we don't have any overhanging audits, that we're back where we should be.
Yeah, thank you. General applause and approbation from the committee, Myrna. We're so happy to see that. So thanks to you and your team for, I was going to share that at the end, but Dave, this is certainly worth jumping in to make that comment. So thank you.
Okay.
So you were talking to us
Sure.
about the mid-year review, which will come to this committee in January. I just have a quick question about that. The 16th, I'm wondering, is that the Martin Luther King holiday?
It might be. It might be.
What day is, let's see, yeah, it looks like it is. So I think, so this is a note to Lisa also. I think we're going to need to move the Finance Committee meeting from the 16th. And if it's okay, we'll move it back a week to the 23rd. Does anybody have objections to that? Okay, sorry, Myrna, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'll change that to 1/23.
Yeah.
And it still could go to the commission on the 1st of February. The other is I'd like to give you updates on procedures that we're currently working on. And so that's a nice update. The next major item is that we plan to have a 5-year forecast or financial plan that takes in. It's always good. It's a good tool. I understand that there maybe a few years back, the commission did have these type of plans before you, but it's been a while. And I think it's time to have some, develop the 5-year financial plan, given all the changes that have happened and the things that we're anticipating in the future, like Measure Y. So we're going to build in some assumptions in terms of some things that we already know, for example, an MOU that's been agreed to, and then some assumptions such as, pension costs that we work with very closely with CalPERS, and some assumptions of growth in terms of staffing with our, new Sunday hours, etc. But there are, these unknowns where we do plan to hope that the voters approve Measure Y again. So those are kinds of the things that we're looking into the 5-year financial plan with the desired outcome that the commission and the library's administration is informed on what our level of expenditures are going to be, and also what the level of revenues we can anticipate with, pretty good confidence. And therefore, as we all have been looking at, is our fund balance that's uncommitted and available for the commission to allocate. And I believe that with this 5-year plan, you feel confident of what the known expenditures are, and then better assess what you would like to do with fund balance, if anything. On this same day in February, I'm hoping to have like a pension 101 review, since this has just been a topic of interest for the finance committee, and to get a better understanding of our pension, and just so that if any, blank canvas, anyone can ask any questions, and it's in the process of being planned. If it makes sense to bring in our actuaries or any other speaker that can help with this, I'm more than happy. But I wanted to put a placeholder in this, given my conversation with Chair Elkin, that it's helpful to have these conversations around our, pretty, significant liability, as well as a complex issue before the commission.
Myrna, I'm going to stop you just there for a second, if I may. First of all, would like to thank you in advance and your team for working on the 5-year financial plan. I know that was something that Erica had asked you about, but Barbara's been pretty persistent in requesting this over the last few meetings. I'm really happy to see this. We will, we'll of course have probably robust discussion about the assumptions that go into it, and the variations that can occur based on all the unpredictable factors. But I think it's great that you're doing this. And I just wanted to mention to the committee, as you know, you've heard me talk several times about looking at our pension, and we've been putting it off and putting it off. And Myrna and I met last week and decided that two things have happened that make this timely. One is, with the 5-year financial plan, we will have, I think, a more complete financial picture to work from. And as Myrna's going to talk about more a little bit later, she did have an opportunity recently to participate in the annual CalPERS Education Forum. So she is newly informed, and I've asked her to work over the months ahead to kind of put together a review that this committee will look at first, and then of course we can bring it to the full commission, but to help everybody understand what our liability is around pension and how we can best deal with it. So super excited to see this, and I know there's going to be a lot of work going into it. So thanks in advance for what you're doing here, Myrna. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Chair Elkind, and I look forward to that. So that's the plan for the 5-year financial plan and the use of it. The reason why I have tentative there is that I will need some resources here, and looking at staffing on our team, that we may be able to cover this work. But I don't have someone on the team right now. So for example, Julie is working on our updated procedures, and it's taking up a lot of her time as she's learning the library's operations. And so putting together procedures takes a while, and that's been on the top of our list. So we don't want to pull her away from that important work. And we've just had a backlog of important projects as you are very well aware. And this is something that I think is also very important, and we want to bring some resources, that we do have. We've had a vacancy on our team of the accountant, and I believe that that will allow for us to cover these costs. So I'm looking for some additional help there with the 5-year financial plan.
So
But I'm
understand.
hoping that we can secure it soon.
Yeah, well, I think what I'm taking from that, Myrna, is that you have a search underway to fill this position. Obviously, we hope you do. My only request would be just keep us updated on status, and if you think that you'll be able to meet this schedule, or if you need to adjust because it takes longer to fill that spot than you had hoped.
Yes, of course. So I'm looking at what would be the best way to get the resources on board. So
Okay.
that's a little couple of moving pieces here in order to cover those resources.
I do have one question for you, not to take you off track, but if it turns out that you are having difficulty filling that role, is this task something that someone from the county accounting team might be able to assist on, or is it really you've got to have a staff accountant in-house to do this?
What I need is someone who will dedicate time and has undivided attention. And when you have so the accounting team is great. I just feel that they're working on so many different things that if I could rely on them. I mean, they do have the resources and the technical skills for it. I just would like to have someone that I can work closely day to day with.
Understood.
And cover other gaps that we have. So maximize the use of someone, of this person that comes in. Yes.
Sure. Well, we just hope we can make a hire quickly. Eric, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, so Myrna and I are going to meet with Suzanne in the HR department, and we're going to figure out, how to accomplish all of these tasks and what is the best way to move forward. I know that we are planning on recruiting that accountant position, but things never go as planned. So we would like to explore all possibilities.
Sure. Appreciate that. And that would be all that we would ask is, be flexible in the approach and just keep us updated on what you're doing.
Okay. And so going into April, all really from hopefully starting pretty soon in December through end of March, we'll be working vigorously here with the library administration on the budget workshop, which is scheduled for the 4th. I think that's midweek. And on this one, also looking to bring in someone that can help us with the communications and the logistics piece for the budget workshop. I believe for the quality of end product, we really need, solid experts in this. So I'm looking also for some additional support like we did last year. And so the budget workshop is on schedule right now for April 4th.
Great.
And then the month that leaves the month of May, or April and the month of May for any unanswered questions that come up at the budget workshop, any tweaks that we need to make. And so we'll be prepared for proposing a budget on June 7th for the commission's adoption. June, just so you all know that we have year-end close process, and we'll give you an update in June, but the books really close in July, and that is a very time-intensive period for the accounting team to not only close the books for 2023, but also working on preparing for fiscal year 24. So that is just a really busy time, June and July.
Well, it looks like you have a lot of busy times here. I really appreciate you laying out this schedule for us. Any comments or questions, Barbara?
Yes, thank you. Still having trouble with this laptop. Anyway, can you hear me? I
Yeah.
think I've
we hear you.
unmuted. My comment on it when I read this is where's the opportunity to plan and discuss uncommitted fund balance? So anyway, I'm just thrilled that we're going to have this session. I didn't pick up on the fact that the 5-year financial plan was going to give us that opportunity to discuss, which I'm really happy to hear that it will be. I wanted to add that, we're all talking about renewal measure Y, so expenditure, the uncommitted funds that we have right now is really important, obviously to all of us. And then the facilities master plan, which is, big deal and not funded, but we know has huge impact. So sorting through that, these things are all kind of these threads that are pulled together with the added that, as we all know, the foundation kicked off its fundraising campaign, I think it was last week or the week before. And it's going to be necessary for when the foundation goes to its big donors to see what the next step in the 21st century library plan is beyond Roseland. So I just hope that we all have a sufficient opportunity in this to have time to discuss these things in some detail. When I'm looking at this schedule, I see that it would come to the finance committee on the 20th and then go to the full commission on the 1st. So I don't know, it's kind of complicated, and I just hope that we have ample time, to discuss it. That's my concern, but I very much appreciate the fact that we're doing this. Very much appreciate, as Andy pointed out, we talked about having discussion about pension plan and making sure everybody even understands it, so it's really great that that's on here too. So looks good, appreciate it, understand the work involved, and hope you can get the staff in place to pull this all together. And so anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you again for putting this 5-year financial plan on the kind of on the table as a consideration. I am going to ask if perfect. Erica.
Yeah, so I know that I sent you all an update on this Building Forward Together grant. There's a second round of applications that are going to open up in Q1 of next year. And as part of that, Myrna and Dave and I and the management team are going to meet to talk about what aspects in the facilities master plan and what ADA issues we are going to recommend that our JPA partners address and encourage them to apply for these grants. But that, the grants also require matching funds. And so we need to have a discussion with the partners about what funds they are willing or able to contribute and what possible funds we would be able to contribute as part of that. The Building Forward Together grant, if you saw the first round of awardees, there were library systems that received multiple awards, for a variety of different things. And so we are taking the approach that we should apply as, our JPA partners should apply for anything they think, they can find the matching funds for.
That's great, and really glad to see the library pursuing these resources. I have every confidence that the staff has the expertise to put together a very compelling proposal request. If the commission can offer any assistance, I would certainly want us to be able to do that. But please don't misunderstand that. Expectation that staff will do a great job on this. Any other questions, comments on the calendar? Okay, Let's move on to our second item, which is the financial reports. And again, I'm gonna have Myrna walk us through this. Just a couple of preliminary comments. Keep in mind where we are in the year. You know, we're looking at the reports through October. So basically the first 4 months of the year, 1/3. So if things were happening on a straight line basis, we'd be at about 33%. But of course, there are a few things, particularly on the revenue side, that don't work that way. The revenues that we're seeing in this report, because we're 2 months after the fact, you know, we have July and August for sales tax. So we're really only seeing 1/6 of the picture, although it looked very much like we were on track with the budgeted amount. And in terms of the property tax, you know, that won't, it's not really due till next month. So we haven't really seen anything there. So just keep that in mind. And Myrna, I'm going to invite you to take us through the reports, and in particular, just a little shout out in advance. I'm very excited to have you walk us through the new fund balance report, which I think is just a huge step forward in clarity and makes this complex issue very understandable to us, and I think to the full commission. So please go ahead.
Okay, so if you could, Lisa, if you could show the summary page. So here in the summary page, we have, these are the highlights, and if you have any specific questions, I can answer those. But as you can see that overall, the library shows an excess of expenditures of $8.4 million. And that's because of our revenues for property tax, revenues for property tax are 106,000, which is, you know, our normal cycle. We will see posting of property taxes in December. So by January, we will see a much better picture of where we are with property tax, and it will also our mid-year. In sales tax, we are at $2.7 million. And so we have some grant revenues, and for a total of almost $3.1 million in revenue. Down into our expenditures, the total expenditures are $11.5 million, which is not quite a third. It's at 23.4%. And pretty much everything is a little less than 33% of our expenditures, except for books. Books are pretty consistent. But with our salaries and benefits, even with taking into account that $1.4 million lump sum we paid up front, we're at 27.7%. And so we do have some attrition, and this does not reflect our Sunday hours that started in November. So we will see a little bit of an uptick here. We have had a wave of new hires over the last month, not only Sunday hours, but regular vacancies. But again, mid-year will let us know where we are and if we need to make any adjustments there. Services and supplies, rents, I explained in my report that really in October, you'll see 5 months through November paid in order to make sure that we make our payments on time. And And other contracts and services are at 47% because there are several major subscriptions and services that we pay up front, and that drives that number to 47.4%, but it levels out during the year. The other is capital projects, and we're still, facilities management team are working really hard to get Petaluma off the ground and Healdsburg. So we're still anticipating that those projects start, and we see those expenditures after in the new year. So that's the summary on expenditures. I did want to then go into the fund balance and so I hope you all noticed that there's this little table at the bottom that explains the use of fund balance and how it all matches up to that, what we used to see as deficit. And really what that means is that we're tapping into our uncommitted fund balance to support the operations of the library. And that's where the next statement that I'm going to walk through comes up next. Actually, I'd like to share my screen.
Excuse me, Myrna.
Yes.
Before you do that, can we just check and see if there are any questions or comments from the committee on the summary report?
Yes, of course.
Anyone have any questions or concerns for Myrna or Erica? I have one. I think, Erica, it's probably more appropriate for you, and Myrna addressed it slightly, but this is the capital expenses. How do you how do you feel about the potential for progress in this area? It feels like it's like deja vu all over again, in that we have funds committed. I feel like our team is ready to go. Can you give us an update on what's happening, please?
Sure. So with Healdsburg, we're actually doing really well. We're right on schedule. I think at our commission meeting, we'll be learning about the scope of that project. It's Petaluma that is concerning. I'm going to be reaching out to the assistant city manager and asking them, if we can get a meeting together. They did get their funds not that long ago. It was probably, about a month ago that they were notified of the award and got the funds. And so, and we also have this pressing issue with the leases. So both Sebastopol and Petaluma, we have to have, as part of the grant, it requires that the lease is in effect 10 years after the project is completed. And Sebastopol has been very responsive, and we hope to have that grant or that lease extended. Petaluma has been notified of the requirement, but again, it's just making sure that we follow up with them and seeing where they are. We still have hope that we can get this project done this fiscal year. So.
Okay, I realize that the obstacles are not of our making, and I would just emphasize that in addition to, of course, providing better facilities for our patrons, it would be really nice to have some significant accomplishments to point to as we gear up for our Measure Y renewal. Again, I have total confidence in the staff, but if there's anything that the commission as a whole or individual commissioners can do to assist, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think we're all very eager to make this happen. Barbara?
Yes, thank you. Andy, since you brought up the question, and Erica, about leases, does that grant thing, a lot of our leases are kind of automatic renewal. They're renewed for, kind of in just, continue to renew themselves. Does the grant thing, does that imply there has to be a new lease with a specific dates on it? No. But is there
Yeah.
a problem with the Petaluma or Healdsburg? I don't think Healdsburg has a lease, actually.
No, Healdsburg doesn't. So with Petaluma, their lease is a 55-year lease. It expires in January 3033. But the project will not be completed until summer of 3033. So we do need to have a lease extension. Sebastopol lease is actually a month to month. So I don't have a lot of details on what the city of Sebastopol is planning. I have spoken to them about what they're proposing, and they're going to send me their updated paperwork sometime this week. But it will be just a simple lease extension. They've already indicated that they are not going to be making any substantive changes to the leases at this time.
Thank you.
And Eric, I think you meant 2023?
Well, no, so Petaluma's lease expires in 2033, but the grant 33, but the grant requires that the lease be in effect for 10 years after the project is completed.
Okay.
And that would be summer of 3033.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Good. Okay. Anything else here? All right, Myrna, let's you're on. Let's take
Okay,
a look at fund.
So I'd like to share my screen of, and it'll be the statement of activity. Can you see my statement of activity?
We can, yeah. If you could make it a little bit larger, that would be great.
Okay, sure.
Hmm.
Okay, so our statement of activity has changed a bit from prior years, and that's because of the work.
Excuse me,
that
Myrna.
has-
We're seeing columns D through U, and I think we want to see columns A through L. Can you shift?
No, you
the picture a
really
little
need to see K through L.
bit? Should we be seeing headings along the side that tell us what these things are?
Okay, so let me scroll up what we have here. Okay,
Now we're getting there. There we go. There we
Okay.
go. Okay.
but I'm gonna focus in on this
I
area
understood,
right
but we
here.
couldn't see what they were referring to.
Okay, so we're gonna focus in on this area. Okay, so we're looking at the property tax right now. Special fund activity, which basically is our fund balance. So essentially last fiscal year, we, commission approved committing funds for major investments and uses for IT facilities and capital. And these are they were allocated to property tax and to sales tax. And this is what was committed under property tax right here for a total of $1.9 million. So if you look at column K, you see that we're going to be accounting for the use of the committed funds here. Having said that, we have to account for the use of the committed funds and operations separately. So in operations, we have revenue of 23.9 million and expenditures budgeted for 26.3 million. So as you can see, expenditures are greater than revenues by 2.4 million. And line here, increase or use of fund balance, 2.4 million. So we bring that down. 2.4 million is the change in fund balance, right? Minus 2.4 million. We started the year with 10.2 million from prior year, minus the 2.4 million. It then gives us 7.8 million of available uncommitted fund balance. That's on the operations side. On the operations side, you also see that we have, the stabilization rate, but that is committed. So then we move to the second column. So there's going to be 3 columns for this fiscal year where we're showing the use of those committed funds. So we're using a total of $1 million of committed funds for $156,000 for IT resources, $268 for major maintenance of facilities, and $673,000 under capital projects, for a total of $1 million use of committed funds. You bring that down here, and I guess the change in fund balance of those committed funds is $1 million. We're reducing those commitments. So then to show what continues to be balance in those committed funds, we go down a little lower in the gray section, and we see that after using $156,000 of the IT resource replacement funds, now we have availability of $401,000, and so on and so forth. So as of right now, we have, of those committed funds, we still have $890,000 of committed funds there that we can use in the future. So the third column is just the total of the expenditures, the revenues, and uses of the funds. So really we're tapping into the fund balance combined, right, committed and uncommitted, of $3.5 million. And therefore, it leaves us with $7.8 million of uncommitted fund balance. This is under property tax. If you have any questions on this, I can also go over this methodology under the sales tax.
I see a couple of hands. Yeah,
Okay.
Dave, I'll let you go first and then Barbara.
Okay, Myrna, we were sent a somewhat more complete printed version of this table showing detail of fund balance components, which strings out about 15 or 20 lines. Can you show that on your screen?
Yes, I'll just shrink this.
Yeah,
Oops.
nope. It's almost the same size as what you've shown us already. Yeah, there's part of it. Okay.
All of this, yes.
Yes. I really appreciate what you've done here. I love the 5X account numbers. That is, they're not really in the accounting system yet. I have a true quibble, okay? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 double asterisks, and nowhere in the table does it say what that means. The single asterisk is rate stabilization, and that is explained at the bottom, the very last line. So what does the double asterisks mean?
Asterisks, those are the newly committed funds that are shown up on above. So I'm sorry for that omission there. But if you could tell that those double asterisks are new funds. Those were
Yes.
the new funds that, well, new commitments.
Yeah, and I love this because it again explains what we're planning to do with all this money that's sitting around in various bank accounts. So this is very excellent work.
This is a it's a full use of your fund balance policy.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave. Barbara.
Yeah, I applaud you also. Appreciate all the work on this. And was studying it again earlier before we got on this meeting. The thing I think I got thrown by is the what's the date? In your narrative report, it's everything as of, I think, October 31st, but these reports don't actually have dates on there. So I was just, the kind of active section of this is, you know, those columns that you're talking about, like if you look at the bottom, sorry, bottom right, it's, you know, June 30th of 22 is kind of the bottom, but there's activity going on. And so I wasn't sure if this was just from the budget date or to show current activity, and you are showing activity, but there's
It's
not any
still-
date on this report to tell it's as of such and such a time.
I agree. It is tricky statement. So essentially, the reason in my report that I state October is that in previous statements, they look very different than this. So I wanted to make sure that if ever someone picks up this report, they know that I'm referring to the statement that was shown to you or presented to you for the October monthly statements. That was my intent in my report, in my CFO report. What this statement is showing is really at the beginning of the fiscal year, and including the rebudget that you adopted, I think it was in September. So any of those major changes with budget changes will be reflected, and you will see an updated statement of activity. So that's only when you will see these the statement of activity that is updated when you make changes to the budget. So this now includes the rebudget that took place in that the commission adopted in September. And the activity really is as of what happened. How do we explain that $10 million? So the activity that you're talking about is what, line, these detail of fund balance components? Yeah. So all of those basically explain that 10.2 million. What are the components of that 10.22 million? And you could see all the detail in here.
So if somebody just had this thing and didn't have the narrative report, what date would they think all of this was as of?
We could add a date here, and this would reflect all the activity as of September, because it includes that budget adjustment in September.
But I'm going to jump in here for a second, Barbara. That said, this report will be exactly the same next month and exactly the same the month after that. This report will not change until and unless we rebudget mid-year or we get to the next fiscal year and do the budget. It does not reflect monthly expenditures because those, we're not making any change in the budget. We're just working against the committed funds. Did I explain that correctly, Myrna?
That's correct.
Yeah. So the result is that as a finance committee, we don't need to review this every month. It's not changing. It's exactly the same until there's a budget adjustment. Is that clear to everybody?
No,
No.
but I appreciate, I mean, I have to kind of grasp this. You know, this is a change, and it's a really good change, and I appreciate the detail. It's just, I like dates. And so if there's some way of adding up there something, because the only date that we have on here is June 30th of 22, and yet activity happened after that.
It's not activity. Rebudgeting happened after that.
Okay.
So the date that Myrna should add is whatever date we approved the revised budget for 22-23, which was sometime back.
I
in
should make a
September.
note. So in addition to explaining the double asterisk, I will add that there was a rebudget adopted in September.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments about this report?
I do want to add something. though.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Mary.
Okay, so as we're working towards this, in the rebudget, the commission approved the purchase of a vehicle. And when we first adopted the budget for this fiscal year, there were no vehicles planned to be purchased. And then I was notified that the vehicle that was budgeted for last year had not been purchased. So therefore we carried it over. So there will be, as you can see, there's no use of the vehicle committed fund. So I will be making adjustments there. I think it was under $30,000, around $30,000, the vehicle that was rebudgeted. So that will be a little change there. So there will be some change, but again, it's tied to that rebudget. It's not because we're our normal day-to-day, month-to-month activity.
Okay. And Myrna, I have a minor quibble / question for you. On line 22, the heading that appears in column C, all the lines below that, increase is shown in parentheses, and it's not here. Should it be?
Yes, it should all be uniform.
Okay, so I think in column C, you just need to add parenthesis around the word increase so that it's consistent with what you have on lines 23 through 29.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I'm surprised Dave didn't catch that.
He was just laying back to see if I was paying attention there.
It's been a bad day here.
I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to, I'm going to offer some applause here to Myrna for pulling this together. I know it required working with the county and getting them to think a little bit out of the box. But compared to what we had before, this makes so much sense and it's so clear. And for the first time, I really feel like I can look at this report and understand what we've done. So Myrna, thank you so much. I don't feel a need to go through the sales tax one because format is the same. Does anybody feel a need to do that? Okay. Then I think we just have two other reports, the cash position and vouchers over $50,000. There were no voucher payments over $50,000 in the month of October. And there was nothing unusual about the cash. Myrna, anything you want to say about that?
No, the cash is as expected. Again, we're looking forward to that first installment of property tax. I know that you all have dutiful noted that utilities has increased. We did receive a PG&E, something happened, a glitch with their billing, and they didn't bill us for the entire period. So we'll see another big statement that's unusual, but it does make sense to staff. But just wanted to show you that it's not due to rates. It was really, they didn't capture the entire period. So we'll be seeing that later.
Okay. And I would, Myrna, I'd also like to thank you for the excellent summary report that appears on pages 6 and 7. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of, yes, Barbara?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're still on mute, Barbara.
This laptop's driving me crazy.
There you
Anyway,
go. We
sorry.
can hear you.
Anyway, excellent report. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, it spells everything out very clearly. I did want it, just a tiny comment at the bottom of expenditures there on page 6, way down there at the bottom, first page of your report. The unfunded accrued liability of that is CalPERS or OPEB?
Where is that?
It's on your
Yeah,
expenditure
that was
report.
right. That was for CalPERS.
That's what I thought, but I think we should put that on there because we do have it's just for clarity.
Okay,
Unfunded
sure.
accrued
Oh, in my
liability.
report. Yes. Okay, I could say that. It's pension liability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also, just in terms of your report, wonderful that you took the opportunity to go to the CalPERS Education Forum. That was fantastic. And you made the point in here that they project for the long term. I wondered if they told you what that was, what their projections are for long term, but
Yeah.
overall,
Well, now they dropped it to -7, but they're looking at more normal rates around 6%. But you know, that's long term.
yeah.
That's all, everything else smoothed out. Yeah.
No. Well, anyway, I really appreciate the report. I think it's very good, great for all the commissioners when we all get it at the commission meeting, I'm sure. And anyway, thanks a lot. You're doing great work, Morris.
Thank you. I enjoy partnering with each of you.
Thank you, Barbara. Any other questions, comments on Myrna's financial report? All right, you've seen some upcoming topics, including the audit, which we'll be dealing with next month. Anything that you would like to add as a topic for a future meeting agenda? Myrna, I think you did such a great job of laying out the roadmap that we're all just speechless. Okay, I'd like to thank the committee for your usual attention to detail. Myrna, fantastic job, you and your team. And Erica, thank you for your leadership. And I am really happy to adjourn the meeting at 3:58. Thank you all, and I wish everybody a very happy, healthy Thanksgiving holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you stay healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
Number one.
Be
Truly.
safe.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Andy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Andy.
Bye-bye.